Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. Chapter number 8, Renunciation. And Neville starts here with a few quotes. There is no coal of character so dead that it will not glow and flame if but slightly turned. Resist not evil. Whosoever shall smite thee on thy right cheek, turn to him the other also. And before we go any further, I was looking, my book is that old, it's got lots of little things written and scribbled and highlighted. And just beside renunciation, I remember the first time I started reading this, I had to actually Google to see what renunciation actually meant. And I wrote it down beside it. The rejection of something, typically a belief, a claim, or a course of action. And that's what renunciation is. So what are you renouncing? What is your dominant thoughts? There is a great difference between resisting evil and renouncing it. When you resist evil, you give it your attention. You continue to make it real. So you're thinking about evil, you're recognizing it. So you're putting energy towards it. You're putting attention onto it. You're focusing on the evil. So you're recognizing that it's there. When you renounce the evil, you're rejecting it. You're rejecting it as even being real. You're only thinking of what you want. You're only directing your thoughts towards that. When you resist evil, you give it your attention. You continue to make it real. When you renounce evil, you take your attention from it and give your attention to only what you want. Now is the time to control your imagination and give beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord, that he might be glorified. Let's just go back up. When you renounce evil, you take your attention from it and give your attention to what you want. Now is the time to control your imagination. And if you imagine, even for something as simple as an argument, anyone that's having an argument or a fight, when you're fighting back, you're making it worse. You're almost putting fire on the flames. You're putting fuel on the fire. But when you just walk away from that evil, walk away from whatever it is, you're renouncing it. You're just removing yourself from it. Don't take part in it. You give beauty for ashes when you concentrate your attention on things as you would like them to be, rather than on things as they are. You give joy for mourning when you maintain a joyous attitude, regardless of unfavorable circumstances. You give praise for the spirit of heaviness when you maintain a confident attitude instead of succumbing to despondency, instead of succumbing to that low energy, that lower vibration and frequency, the lack of hope and feeling down. There's good in everything. No matter what happens, there's always good that you can find. And we've all went through adversity. We all have things that happens in our lives, including losing people, mourning. But when we really change our perspective and look for the good in whatever it is, there's always some good to find. So when you give joy for mourning, when you give joy for mourning, when you maintain a joyous attitude, regardless of unfavorable circumstances, you give praise for the spirit of heaviness when you maintain a confident attitude instead of succumbing to despondency. In this quotation, the Bible uses the word tree as a synonym for man. You become a tree of righteousness when the above mental states are a permanent part of your consciousness. Permanent. You become a tree of righteousness when the above mental states are a permanent part of your consciousness. And that's where you're required to focus and have a good attitude. Focus on your attitude all the time. Remember, your attitude starts with your thoughts, with your thinking. Thoughts turn into a feeling. Feeling turns into the vibration, and the vibration dictates the actions you take. So when you become a tree of righteousness, when the above mental states, when you stay on a high frequency, are a permanent part of your consciousness, not just a part-time, a permanent part. You are a planting of the Lord when all your thoughts are true thoughts. He is I am, as described in chapter 1. I am is glorified when your highest concept of yourself is manifested. I am is glorified when your highest concept of yourself is manifested. And that comes right back to image as well, and the attitude. What attitude do you have of yourself? You know, you decide what type of attitude you have by your thinking. You decide what type of image you're going to have of yourself by the attitude you have of yourself. Building the image of the attitude you want. Building the image of the person that you're becoming. And only directing your thoughts towards that person. But holding that for whatever length of time it takes. Holding that thought until I am is glorified when your highest concept of yourself is manifested. When you have discovered your own controlled imagination to be your savior. And remember what Neville said, I think it was chapter 2. Your imagination is the only redemptive power. It's the only thing that will save anything. When you have discovered your own controlled imagination to be your savior, your attitude will be completely altered without any diminution of religious feeling. And you will say of your controlled imagination, behold this vine, and the vine is your imagination. Behold this vine, I found it a wild tree, whose wanton strength had swollen into irregular twigs. But I pruned the plant, and it grew temperate in its vain expense of useless leaves, and nodded, as you see, into these clean, full clusters, to repay the hand that wisely wounded it. Let me just read that again. I love this. Behold this vine. The vine Neville's referring to here is your imagination. Behold this vine. I found it a wild tree. You know, it was everywhere. Your imagination was everywhere. There was no control. It was just growing wherever it was being taken to. I found it a wild tree whose wanton strength had swollen into irregular twigs. But I pruned the plant, and it grew temperate in its vain expense of useless leaves, and nodded, as you see, into these clean, full clusters to repay the hand that wisely wounded it. You consciously took control of what you were using your imagination for. When you're consciously taking control of the images and the thoughts that you're putting into your mind, that's when you're pruning the tree, the vine that Neville speaks about here. You're taking away all the old leaves. You're pruning it into an absolutely beautiful full cluster. But I pruned the plant, and it grew temperate in its vein. You're rejecting all the thoughts that does not take you towards being that person. You're rejecting all the old leaves, cutting them away in its vain expense of useless leaves, and nodded, as you see, into these clean, full clusters to repay the hand that wisely wounded it. You know, you're repaying yourself. Remember, you are your only obstacle, but you're your biggest solution also. You know, by consciously being in control of your thoughts, which is the start of your attitude. It's our choice, guys. Our choice. By vine is meant your imagination, which in its uncontrolled state expends its energy in useless or destructive thoughts and feelings. But you, just as the vine is pruned by cutting away its useless branches and roots, prune your imagination by withdrawing your attention from all unlovely and destructive ideas and concentrating on the ideal you wish to attain. Let's just read that again. By vine is meant your imagination, which in its controlled state, you're controlling it, expends its energy in useless or destructive thoughts and feelings. But you, just as the vine is pruned by cutting away its useless branches and roots, Prune your imagination by withdrawing your attention from all unlovely and destructive ideas and concentrating only on the ideal you wish to attain. So you're not putting any attention onto what you don't want. You're rejecting any thoughts, any conversations, any images that you don't want, that does not serve you. The happier, more noble life you will experience will be the result of wisely pruning your own imagination. So the happier, more noble life, the life that you desire, you will experience it by the result of wisely pruning your own imagination, by wisely choosing what you're using your imagination for. You're choosing the thoughts, you're choosing the images consciously. The happier, more noble life you will experience will be the result of wisely pruning your own imagination. Yes, be pruned of all unlovely thoughts and feelings, that you may think truly, and thy thoughts shall the world's famines feed. Speak truly, and each word of thine shall be a fruitful seed. Live truly, and thy life shall be a great and noble creed. And what Neville's speaking about here is the exact same concept that we spoke about already. Your imagination is a garden. You know, whether he's talking about a tree being pruned here or whether he's talking about weeds in the garden, it's the same concept. You know, you're choosing what you're putting into your imagination. Are you going to allow those weeds? And we all know how quickly weeds can take over from beautiful flowers, beautiful bushes and trees. Weeds, when they're left to grow by themselves, will take over. You know, but this is where you, if you want a beautiful garden, you stay in control of those weeds. You pick those weeds out. You pull them. Same with your imagination. You're picking and pulling the thoughts that don't serve you. But you must be doing that very, very quickly. You've got a few seconds window before you're letting them into your subconscious mind. Remember, your conscious mind is a gateway. It's a gatekeeper. So your conscious mind is protecting what's going into your subconscious mind. So your conscious mind is the gardener. So you're picking and choosing what's going into that garden. If you're not thinking, if you're not using your imagination the way Neville is speaking here, consciously choosing, then you're just letting everything grow in your garden by not pruning it. And that's the same with your imagination. Everything, every thought, every conversation that's going on around you, maybe you're not taking part in that conversation, but if you're involved in a conversation and you're listening to those thoughts, if you're not rejecting them, they're going straight into your subconscious mind. If you're watching the news and the news is telling you what way the economy is, what way your bank account is going to be, it's all going straight into your subconscious mind. This is where you have the power. You have the control by using your higher faculties. So that is chapter number 8, renunciation. Now, before I do finish up today, guys, I'm going to just let you know that this is going to be a weekly call, not a daily call from next week. And I want everyone to be their own accountability partner here, because I've noticed this last few weeks that the numbers dwindling, some people coming on, some people not coming on. This is where, if you truly want change and you want to, you know, understand this material, it must be studied. You must be your own accountability partner, and your goal will be your accountability partner. If you truly want what you want in life, if you truly want what you're desiring, it's on your goal card. It should be with you all times. Then that goal card will be your motivation to do whatever you're being told to do. So what I am going to do, I'm going to make it probably a little bit more interactive. I'll do one call a week. I'm going to give you maybe one chapter to study for the week. And the chapter that's jumping, I haven't even thought about this, but the chapter that's jumping out to me immediately is my favorite chapter in the whole entire book. And it's chapter number 3. It's the power of assumption. Now, I was speaking to someone earlier and I told them that I've been studying this chapter 3 for 11 months and 2 weeks. It's coming up in 1 year that I've been reading this entire chapter. It's only 3 pages, 4 pages. And I've been studying this chapter for almost a year. You know, study something until you understand it. Really study something until it's inside you. Not until you're reading it on a conscious level, you understand that you can repeat it back. But read something until you truly understand it and you're living it. So I want everyone to study the power of assumption. And, you know, we're all members of the group. If you want to be your own accountability partner, drop a message in every day to say that you've read the book, read the page, the chapter that we're speaking about. And next week, we'll make it a little bit more interactive. We'll open it up for some questions. We'll discuss the chapter. We can look at, you know, people's takeaways and get you guys all involved. I think it's going to be much more productive for not just for me, but for everyone that's on the call. So your goal as your accountability partner, use your goal as your motivation to do whatever you're being told to do every day, whether it's from me, whether it's from your coach, whether it's from, you know, whoever you're speaking to that's guiding you. Do what you're being told to do, because this works, guys. But these chapters that we've been studying this last 3 weeks, they've been so powerful. This book, it's repetitive. Every chapter is almost the same message in every chapter. Use the power of your gifts from God, your higher faculties, to choose what you're putting into your imagination, to choose what thoughts that is only serving you and rejecting the rest. That's it. But are you willing to do that all day, every day? Are you willing to do that until your goal shows up in the physical form? Most people are not. Most people will do it when it feels comfortable. Most people will do it when it suits. But if you really want your goal and you really want that life that you desire, you will do whatever it takes. So use your will, use your imagination, and use your reasoning. The three most powerful higher faculties, in my opinion. So you're using your reasoning to think what it is you want. You're using your imagination to build the image of what that looks like, the idea looks like. And then you're using your will to hold that image over and over and over in your imagination. So thank you so much, everyone. It's been wonderful. I will drop a message into the Facebook group for anyone that's not on the call. And I will see you all next week. Have a wonderful weekend and a wonderful week. Bye.